Yes.
It's quite a long question, but it's kind of a comment at the same time. Lately in the news, you hear a lot about, especially lately when there was this Canadian soldier who was hit with an axe on his head in Afghanistan.
Wait, say it again?
There was a Canadian soldier who was hit with an axe on his head in Afghanistan. Like what I really like in the coverage, especially about this one, was all the news media, the mainstream, what they might call left-wing or right-wing media, they were always quoting that the guy who did that yelled the shout, Allahu Akbar, the shout of jihad. Okay, and he did this terrible thing. And then I hear all around, in all the media now, people labeling or talking about something happening or talking about some violence anywhere in the Middle East and labeling the name jihadi or jihadists or jihadists in North America. And what do you think of that? I don't see I see by the media that they're very ignorant or they don't really want to explore or explain what's going on, like especially with those words. They don't want to know what's behind the word, or it's just a label that sounds so fancy to say jihadist. It's not like terrorist. What do you think of that?
This part of the way, particularly, my experiences with Western media, so what Western media does is they quickly label things. And you'll find that across the board, they use the same language, like they have a meeting. And I don't know if they physically get together, but there must be some sort of agreement or communication system that they have that we're all going to use the exact same word. So something will happen and they'll say the shout of jihad, and this phrase exactly will be on this channel, this channel, this channel, just there. And you think, well, all these people have different writers and different reporters, so how do they come with the same exact terminology? And this happens again and again, and they label the thing so they don't have to, exactly what you said, they no longer have to explain a thing. For myself, and I don't know much about the Canadian mission in Afghanistan, but for example, for the American mission in Afghanistan and Iraq, I don't find it a strange thing for someone to put an axe in one of the soldiers' heads. Like, you have a gun, you've come here and you've killed a lot of people. I don't have a gun, but I have an axe. I give the takbir and I'll put it in your head. So I don't find that as a strange thing or an insane thing, and as a matter of fact, it's very strange. And this is the thing about the media, it's very, very strange. And what it even causes for the Muslims. That these people, that Marines or Army or whatever, and they have these nice titles, and they have these nice uniforms, they can go and kill a lot of people, and it's just called war. But then a person with not as much resources, but maybe more honor and bravery, goes out and does something, and that's terrorism. So we ask the question, what is the difference between terrorism and war? And people say things like, well, war is declared and it's a foreign war, but that's nonsense. For America didn't have allowance to go into Iraq, all kind of UN, all kind of people disagree with it, but they still went. Is terrorism meaning that it scares people? Do not B-52s frighten people, M16s frighten people. Really what terrorism is the privatization of war. It is the war given to the individual. So you no longer have to have a state to go to war. You as an individual can go to war. And states don't like that. They say, no, only states can go to war. Like, only countries can go to war. You individual people just have to join one of the teams, but you can't just go to war. And it's the same thing, like, if I can draw an allusion like to the record industry, the big major labels, they don't like the independent labels. So they say, no, you can't make music by yourself in your dorm room on your computer. Like, somehow that's wrong. You can't do that. You have to join one of us. And so it is the privatization, it is really the democracy of warfare, terrorism. So it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, it's not on the news if a Canadian soldier goes and shoots an Afghani. It's not newsworthy, but why not? Why is an Afghani killing a Canadian soldier, why does that become news? It's on the front page of the paper. For what reason? So the death toll in Iraq, for example, and again I'm speaking from the American point of view, far exceeds September 11th. all the deaths of September 11th, again and again, so much so that like every month, it is like a September 11th for them, as far as the number of casualties. Again and again, from George Bush's own mouth, he says somewhere between 30 and 40,000 casualties. In Iraq alone, that doesn't include Afghanistan, that doesn't include the people dying from starvation or dirty water or the radiation that they're dropping there. But these things aren't newsworthy. But a poor man with an axe, this becomes front page news. It is bizarre. The worst part of it though, is the Muslims feel like they have to apologize for such a thing. These people come into their land and kill, and armed forces means killers. That means I have weapons and I use them for force. When a person joins the armed forces, they are either killing or helping people to kill, or threatening people with killing. That is the function of the whole thing. So these people come there for that thing. He might get shot. You're in somebody's country. You might get an axe in the head. It's part of being in the armed forces. So I don't make an apology for this person, and I agree with you that the labeling causes people not to think anymore. Like, this is just a jihadist, and they put him in this box, and they don't think about it, they don't explain it. Or this person is a terrorist, and they put him in a box, and they don't think about it, they don't explain it. And even big events like September 11th, there still hasn't really been an explanation. There's been no proof brought forward on Osama bin Laden or whomever. It is just an accepted fact. So much so I remember when I was teaching, right about the time when I was about to leave, right before the FBI came, that in the books, the new history books that came in, his face is there. Osama bin Laden's face in connection with September 11th. And still, none of us have proof. They have that videotape with that chubby Arab with a gold ring on, talking about I was Osama bin Laden, and alhamdulillah, we blew up the buildings. It's so foolish, subhanAllah. Yes.
Your poem about dead man walking, I find it very intriguing. I was just wondering, what were the circumstances under which you wrote that, and perhaps if you can perform that?
Yeah, inshallah, I did a lot of talking. You guys have a good conversation. I'm gonna do some more poetry for us, y'all. Dead Man Walking is a poem was written around the same time as Danger, and it was written trying to express the frustration of like what will make someone put an axe in someone's head, or what will make the people riot, or what will make a jihadi do jihad, you know? So it was a poem really to express that. The first half of the poem is really about my experience in writing. So the feeling that I get upon writing a poem, and then the second half of the poem, it deals with, so part of it is an inward thing, and a very personal thing, and then after that is a outward thing about the outward jihad. And I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna save that one for last. I've only done 2 poems. Okay, I'm gonna get to some poetry after this right here.
Sir, a follow-up thing, but don't you think those kind of labels and this kind of media coverage is what puts us on the defensive?
It can put us on the defensive, that's because we allow it to. So a newscaster comes to me and says, an Afghani said Allahu Akbar and put an axe in someone's head, what do you think about that? And I said, well, jihad is only defensive, and unless the Marine or the soldier was shooting at him, and it caused me to start to backpedal and explain, instead of saying that, say, some Afghani put an axe in this Canadian's head, I'm not defensive, you know? I'd say, this is so strange, it's so strange. Because they can kill us all day, and it's not even news. It doesn't even show up on the front page. And a person gets cut with a knife, or a person gets strangled, or a person lives to tell about it. And this person's on the front page of the news. It's very bizarre, it's very strange. Not that what they do, but what it does to us. It's what it does to Muslims, and we become shy to say that that is okay. I may not be able to get back into America after this talk, but us to think that it's wrong for us to say, now, let me say this also. I don't know the circumstances of surrounding it. I don't know who the Afghani was. I just saw a piece on a paper and I saw a piece on the news, but I don't know anything about the situation. I'm going off of the information that there's a person who's dressed in military uniform that's there upon the armed forces, and the people don't want them there, and he decides to fight this person. That's my understanding of it. And if I'm wrong in that, then May Allah forgive me and may you forgive me. However, if the condition is he is fighting to push these people, that he does these armed forces out of his land, that this is what Ben Franklin did, George Washington did. I don't know who established Canada for you, but know that if they did not put an axe to someone said they shot someone, this land wasn't uninhabited when the Canadians got here. Somebody was here already. And where are they? How did they get there? But this isn't news. This is terrorist talk, jihadi talk. And they will label me. Maybe there's a news reporter here, and next time you'll see on the news, jihadists at Alberta. You know what I'm saying? But it's silly. So we have to resist the urge, I think, to backpedal. And their media is designed to put us on the defensive. So questions like, are Muslims terrorists? Automatically makes you feel like you have to explain your way out of it. Or, you know, what's wrong with these people? Why did they burn down the embassy? And it makes you want to explain and kind of explain your way out. And so I have to myself have to fight that impulse. Because this doesn't do anything for the honor of this ummah, and we need to say, just like they said, America will say all day, we're sending troops to this place because these people did such and such a thing, or they won't do this thing that we told them to do, or we're sending troops, and this we wave flags and sing songs, and these people go away with guns to kill, like this is the only purpose to do, or to threaten people with murder. Okay, I'm gonna do another poem.
Brother Amir.
Yes.
Just one more question, sorry.
Okay.
On a similar note, and sorry to delay the poetry, but
no, it's okay.
Yesterday, and on this theme, you were talking about people hiding some part of the religion, like hiding back verses and being ashamed of some things, like, you know, trying to backpedal on verses like kill them wherever you find them and stuff like that. On the other hand, when someone asks a question about that, right, how do you contextualize that? How do you put that into perspective? Because if you have somebody who brings that up, who says, look, you have this verse here, like you're saying that, you know, we're killing you, but you have a verse that says kill them wherever you find them. Right. So we should, you know, protect ourselves and all of this. How do you respond to something like that?
I would respond to such a thing. I don't know, did everyone hear? Yeah. Okay, so like talking about verses of the Quran, like kill them wherever you find them, smite them at the necks and cut all their fingertips off and things like this. And this is the Quran, this is Allah talking. But this is under a particular circumstance. So this is aggressive. It is not that you go to some other place or some people that have no power with you and you just start killing people because they don't believe in Allah, for we know that there's no compulsion in religion. That these things are preserved for particular types of situations. And we say we are thankful for these verses, for they have given us the parameters by which to engage in combat. These other people have no engagement. They have no divine revelation to teach them how not to lose themselves in warfare. So we have rules and parameters. And there are times saying push forward and defend yourself and hold back and be patient. And so we have all of these things, these verses that balance each other for every situation. So obviously in every situation it's not required to kill them wherever you find them. This is not a broad scope all the time commandment like believe in Allah. So our habit is not that, you know, we looking around corners and jumping out of alleys and stuff like, I got you, you know? But that our habit is if the people encroach upon your land and encroach upon your honor and they are killing your women, they are raping your children, then kill them wherever you find them. And not to be ashamed of this. This is the honor. This is something that we do as men and women, as adults, as believers. But their hope is for us to be ashamed of these things to the point that they can kill our women, rape our children, and we think it's high-mindedness for us not to care and, you know, put our acts away because we are high-minded, civilized people. We are people like the other people and know that all these other people will defend their land, will defend their honor, will defend their women, defend their children. So I would put it in this context, inshallah. See, the people are leaving. I think maybe I talk too much. Okay, I want to do some poetry. This poem has nothing to do with jihad. This poem has to do with writing and poetry and beauty and things like this. This is about what I feel about my own work and some of the conversations that I have about what I do. And it's called Corner Store Folklore. Corner Store Folklore. Do you guys know what a corner store is? Do you have these here? It's just a store that's on the corner, but it's a place of like, it's a place where people congregate sometimes, like in the neighborhoods, particularly in the cities in America, it's kind of a place of congregation for the people, and they stand outside the corner store and talk and things like that. So it's Corner Store Folklore. I don't know if we can imagine all the corner store folklore that can be found in the Big Apple's core, The Oscar sun was hot in the sky, so it must have been about 2 hours after 3 or a little before 4. And then when I go in the store and I think how crazy it is, how you have to come out of your pocket just to get some water that's non-toxic. But no use to me going on about this topic. You heard how most stuff dropped or not new world water. And then when I go in my pocket to get $1.25 to get my bottle of water, when I see this pretty brown girl step in, and I caught her in the corner of my eye, and she caught me as she was passing by. SubhanAllah, that was my one look, so I lowered my gaze. Because the shaitan has many ways of weakening a man and make him regret tomorrow what he did yesterday. Needless to say, I'm just trying to make my way to the sidewalk. No need for small talk. I just take what I bought because I got more to do than I thought. But I was caught by a voice from the rear saying, "Is this your name Amir? Excuse me, is this your name Amir?" I turned around and she appeared like right in my personal space. I ran her face to my mental Rolodex but came up with no trace. So you know, I'm thinking, how'd she know my name? Why'd she catch me at the door? I'm traveling from upstate, I've never been to this store. But out of courtesy, I replied, yes, my name's Amir, have we met before? And she stared at me. She stared at me with this intense sobriety. She wasn't just eyeing me, she seemed to be looking for something she thought she could find in me. Her look so strong, it was blinding me like she could look to the other side of me. And then she said, "I love you." Out of nowhere, right? Out of nowhere, but the thing was, it was so sincere. She was like, "I love you, Amir." Just like that. I'm not talking I love you like, I love your hat, would you get that? Or I love those boots, so they come in black, and I love you like that. I love you like I was her father, mother, brother, homie, lover, friend. And she must have seen my face bend because after a minute, she did begin to give me a little more to comprehend. She said, "I know you probably don't remember me, but I remember you from a show she did at my university. I know you're Muslim and the Muslims don't practice sorcery, but you almost magically touched me in my dome and I think left a verse in me." And I said jokingly, well, I think that verse would be returned to me. But she ain't laugh and proceeded to tell me what she heard from me. She said, "Your words traveled from my nursery to the hearse, it seems. You're not a Roberta Flack, you're killing me softly. I just want to thank you personally. Your words moved through me with an urgency previously unknown to me. It was like you were some government spy snuck into my mind and broke a secret code in me. You focused me. Those words were holding me in a state of meditation. You were more than just close to me. You are the depth of me I don't think you were supposed to be. I was sitting in the 7th row in the 3rd seat, but you probably didn't notice me." And I said, "No, I didn't, honestly. But excuse me, did you say love me?" She said, "That's right, that night you said some things, you read some things to make me love me. I love you because you made me love me." And I said, "Okay, sis, I see, but still the characteristics that cause you to love me, they're not really from me. They come from above me, similar to sunbeams that descend from the heavens to hug me. And I become like photosynthetic with roots and green leaves, and the rest just kind of works out lovely. It just came to me recently as an epiphany that the artist of my art isn't really me. And the poems aren't mine and merely visit me. It is neither accurate or appropriate to thank me, but to thank the creative creativity, absolute independent of us and relativity. There's no doubt you were sent to me so I could show you vividly the science of poetry and the chemistry of creativity. Sis, are you feeling me?" She was a little lost, so I said, "Okay. Okay, remember the clearest night and the big, bright, beautiful moon that you saw? What is that moon without sunlight from afar? So when I say something beautiful, say SubhanAllah. And when I say something wonderful, say Alhamdulillah. And when I say something powerful, say Allahu Akbar, because what is that moon that you saw without sunlight from afar?" Then, after a long pause, a long stare, and a long breath, she replied, "God, I love you." And at that point I left, Cornerstone Folklore. Any more questions, comments, or concerns?
Talking about quarter stores, have you been to Tim
Wait, I can't hear you. Speak up.
Talking about quarter stores, have you been to Tim Hortons yet?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to a lady from the CBC about this. I mean, when I was invited to Alberta, I didn't know anything about it. I don't even know if I had known the name, even. And so I didn't have a mental picture of what it was like at all. I didn't have a frame of reference. And even if I was invited to like, I don't know, like Tokyo or something, like I have a mental picture of what it's like, but I didn't have any picture. And only two things came to my mind immediately. Was one, it seemed very cold, And two, it seemed like there were no black people. And it's cold, but I saw a black person at Tim Hortons. Last night I went, and behind the counter, who do I find but a black girl? And so I was excited. And so I felt like we were old friends or something. I wanted to give her a hug or something. So yeah, I had not only that, the other thing I wanted to do was meet a native, Tim Hortons, at the same time. Me, a black girl, and a native in Tim Hortons last night. It's an amazing thing. Alhamdulillah, may Allah increase Tim Hortons.